Welcome everyone for today's refresher training. So I'm gonna touch base on a couple of quick uh, housekeeping items. Is that we will be recording this session so we can share with all those who have not been able to make it today. Feel free to leave your questions in the chat so that our team can respond it on the go. And obviously, we can also take some of the questions which are unanswered at the end of this training session. Feel free. I mean, we'll kind of right now, you guys, your mic is disabled. That will also let you guys unmute yourself and ask any questions as well. Okay. So the way we're gonna talk about today's webinar is that we actually gonna change our format a little bit. Every time, what we used to do was that we used to actually go over everything in detail, and then we were literally explaining everything. But then what we have done is that to make the best use of everyone's time, we do have all of those previous webinars already recorded and saved at one place so that whoever is new to Xenett, they can always look those videos and can get familiar with all the different features, right? Because I see a lot of you have been coming to webinar and I just didn't want to bore you guys with the same content, right? So we kind of changing the format. Now, when you click on this help icon, you will see Xenett video tutorials, right? Which is where when you click on it, you're gonna find all of the video tutorials available here, right? So any of you who have not been quite familiar with different features of Xenett, or any of your staff, I mean, or colleague who is like not quite familiar, you guys can certainly go through these videos, and I'm pretty sure by going through this will definitely make you pro. All right. So now the way we're gonna talk about or go from here is that I'm first gonna touch base on some of the new features that we just launched in last week. And then I'm also gonna touch base on some of the features that are upcoming. Okay. So we did put some announcement that one of the feature that we launched was client dashboard. So when you go to client, when you are into the client, you can see the client dashboard. Now it has got three types of information. Number one, you can see the reconciliation status of all of your bank and credit card accounts. Uh, Another thing is a transactions count. Now transactions count, what we do is that we take all the transactions, create a summary like for 6 months, and then we display the counts. So this should help you know if at all the volume of your client is really increasing or not. A lot of our customers use this for price increase purpose as well, because if they feel like, I mean, this is by the way a demo client, so please ignore the counts here, but the way they use this information is that if they see a significant increase in the transactions count, they can go back to client and then talk about the price increase, right? So this is also a way you can use this information. Another way you can use this information is it's like a very high level view or overview. Like if something is like, imagine you have been having 15 bills every month, all of a sudden you see 60 of them or 70 of them. So things like this might require your attention, and all of these numbers are clickable. So like if you wanted to know some more details about this, you click here and you can see a list of all the transactions that is making up that number, right? And it's all exportable into the Excel file, so you can quickly export it and you can use the information however you like. And the last one is profit and loss snapshot, which is where you can see the 6 months of summary, where you can see like it's a pretty, I would say, uh, collapsed version of profit and loss. So you can clearly like quickly see how is your client doing. Okay, and all of these are widgets. You can kind of change the size and you can play around it here and there. We Our goal is to add more and more widgets like this, but to start with, we just added some of them, right? So this is a client dashboard that we introduce. Another addition that was so when you go to your practice, we have added this transactions count summary. We used to have this before, but then with the Xenett 2.0 launch, this was temporarily unavailable, so we just made it available now. So the whole purpose, those of you who don't really know what this is for, this is where we display transactions count for all the clients on one page, right? So it's the same concept, like you can clearly see how is your client doing, and you can see the transactions count by months. You also have some filters option available here where you can apply the custom data range. You can do it for specific client and you can run it that way also, right? Many of our customers use this on a quarterly basis, or on a regular basis, just to see if any of the client has been showing any significant increase or decrease, and accordingly they decide their action items for their clients. Okay, so these were the two major new additions that we have launched, and then we did some put some announcements here where we also did some improvements. One is that the delete client user. So previously, when you invite your client, okay, let me get you one of the client. If I go to, let's say this is a client. Previously, when you invite any client user, it wasn't possible to delete it. Okay. So now it will be possible to delete the client user. So that was one improvements that we did. Okay. There are some quite few. One thing is that we kind of change design here and there, especially with the close mode. So when you are in close mode, and if you are looking at any review points that are signed off, you can now see them in a green highlight, and all of the period that are finalized. Let me see. I don't have one here, but let me just do that. So whenever any close period is finalized, we also did some changes. A small improvement, but we just turn it into the green. So that's that. Those of you who use to-do module, we also made some changes with the recurrence. So whenever any task is set, the recurrence, we introduced this module, feature, an option where you can decide how frequently or how do you want to recur that particular task. One is on schedule and second is when done. On schedule, which means let's say if you have a task that is to recur every Wednesday, the next task will wait till the Wednesday comes and then it will show up, right? This one that says when done, that means that if you kind of change the task to complete, it will right now create the upcoming task which is for next Wednesday right now, right? So that's an option available to all those who want to try some different recurrent styles. All right, so that's that. Quick filters, some of the fixes that we did, so that's that. Now let me talk about some of the upcoming features that we are rolling out in June. Okay. So what's gonna happen, and feel free to provide your feedback also in the chat if at all you want to, if you have any questions with any of these new things, or if you have any suggestions as such. Okay. So first of all, zero transactions edit. Until now, we have been integrating with zero. We have been highlighting the issues out of zero, but then we were not, there wasn't a way to edit those, right? So now with all the zero clients, you will then be able to edit the transactions right from Xenett. Okay, so you will be able to edit bill, invoices, spend money, and all of those transactions you will be able to edit it, right? Once, along with this, we all of those zero users, you guys also will be able to use client portal, because now since the transactions edit will be available, you will also be able to ask questions on transactions to your client, and then you'll be able to push the changes from Xenett to your zero accounting file. Okay. Another option that we are coming, in fact, feature we are coming up with is a magic link without password. Now, those of you who use client portal, you guys know that whenever you invite any client user, it will ask them to set up a 6-digit pin. Okay, right now you you will have a way where if you don't want that kind of place, like see in this case, it is going to ask you to enter 6-digit pin all the time that they log in. But now we are introducing an option where you can have a link, and using that link it will override that pin part, which means it will directly take you to the client portal, right? So depending upon your client, you can decide whether you want to have them log in through pin, or you want to have them log in directly with that magic link. Okay, so that's going to be an option available to you guys. So that's upcoming, that's not launched yet, but that's coming in a week's time. Okay, so that's one of the feature that we're coming up with. Another feature that we are coming up with is that, let me take you to the client portal. See, this is a client portal view. Right now, we are displaying all the columns by default. Like you can see account, class, customer, job, and everything. So one of the feature that we are enabling is that as an accountant user, you will have an option to decide which columns you want to display to your client. So for example, if you say that, hey, I don't want my client to see all of these columns like class, location, customer, you will be able to disable them, right? So your clients will not see them. Okay. Another thing, along with deciding the columns, another option will be that you will also be able to decide, like you will be able to actually restrict these categories, right? Right now on your client's end, we actually display all the accounts or all the class or all the items, but you will then be able to restrict those categories to only display some of them. So for example, you don't want accounts like depreciation or amortization to show up for your clients to choose while answering uncategorized transactions. So those things you can restrict it, and you can only pick the accounts which are most relevant, right? So that way you will also be able to restrict it. So that's another thing that is coming up. Many of you requested in the close mode, you guys wanted bulk actions, like you wanted to be able to select multiple of this and then assign preparer or assign reviewer or delete them together, right? So that's another feature we are rolling out in a week's time, which is the bulk action, which will let you select multiple closing to dos and let you take the required actions. While we are on close mode, one of the feature again that was requested by you guys is uh, like sorting. You should be able to move uh, closing to dos order, right, by just drag and drop. So that's also going to be available, where you can simply drag and drop, like, and you can decide the order in which you want this to be sorted. Okay. um, Another feature is we are also enabling the time tracking, where all of you who use to do module, close module, will now have an ability to track the time, right? You can actually associate time estimate, and you can also track time for that. So that way you can then easily figure out how much time you are expecting to spend and how much time you have actually spent, right? So that way you can then do further analysis as to where you are actually off, right? So that's also one of the feature That's gonna be somewhere available in June. We already started working on that. All right. So that's see, this is not like a, I'm not talking about like this is a whole the year of I mean, it's not a roadmap for the months, it's something immediate ones that we are targeting. So that's gonna be June. That is what we are kind of focusing right now. Okay. We are making some improvements with the notifications. Right now we do have notifications, but that are quite limited. So when we go to my account notification preferences, there are only a couple of notifications emails that you can control. But then we will be introducing some more, like you can figure I mean, you can decide whether you want to get notified if this happens. So for example, you can decide to get notified if someone mentions you in a comment, right? You can decide to get notified when your client respond back to your question. So similar types of categories we will be introducing. So as a user, you decide how and when you want to get notified, and accordingly you're gonna get the email notifications. Okay. So that's that. Our major focus is, yeah, one more thing is that a little change. We kind of decided to rename speed mode to call it cleanup mode, right? Because we felt that that sounds more relevant, that sounds more appropriate, because that's what the whole purpose is, that you come here, you see issue, you fix it, right? Basically you are cleaning up things. So we kind of changing the terminology from speed mode to cleanup mode. Okay. So that's that. um, our focus is also going to be to add more review points here, so that you can actually and it's going to be like you can enable and disable also. So we will be introducing some more review points like sales tax inconsistency. This is specifically for Canadian people who have GST kind of tracking it. They kind of look for inconsistency between the tax codes. So this is going to be helpful for them. For clients using multi currencies, we will also be introducing a review point that highlights specifically the exchange rate issues, right? So imagine if your home currency is Canadian dollar, and if you have a transaction in USD, but the exchange rate is one, that could be a problem. So things like this will then be highlighted. Then you will be able to see some of the review points, like if at all you have some transactions like expenses or bills that are booked in revenue, which is not that usual. So things like this will be highlighted. Then we will be also having a review point where you can find all the checks where the reference number is missing, like bills that don't have a reference number, checks that don't have a reference number, and it will all be customizable. uh, we will also be adding some more features with aged payables and aged receivables review. Right now, it only highlights negative and zero balance vendors. But then we will also be highlighting the vendors with long overdue bills, or vendors with, let's say, unapplied payments, vendors with some negligible balance like $0.5 or point $10 or things like that, right? Something which is pretty negligible. So some of the more parameters we will also be adding here as well. Okay. um, right now, review vendor customer GL list. This allows you to quickly review your vendor customers in accounts, but then we will also be adding class, location, and items as well. What this means is that if at all you have any of those items which haven't been used for a while, you can quickly select them and you can make them inactive on one click, right? So those are some of the new fields that we will be adding to this list as well, right? So these are some of the new things. One of the major one that we are coming up with is our Xenett browser extension. So I'm not sure, man, if many of you, I mean, many of you were already using it in the past, but with Xenett 2.0, it was temporarily unavailable because we were working on revamping the whole browser extension. So we have already started working on that. We will be rolling it out in a phases. So most likely somewhere in couple of weeks, we will be rolling out the phase one, where let me give you a quick glimpse as to what this browser extension will look like and how that's gonna work. Okay. So the way it's gonna work is that we will be like once you have installed the browser extension, I'm just gonna refresh my page. So the whole concept is with the browser extension is that you don't need to do like you don't feel like you're using Xenett as a separate application altogether. It's gonna be embedded inside your QuickBooks file only. Okay. So once you have installed the browser extension, you're gonna find a top bar like this, right? As you can see on my screen, there's a black menu bar on the top that has a different menus, right? So now imagine you don't have to remember to log into Xenett. It's like imagine you're working on a client and you want to look at the errors. All you do, you just click here on a cleanup, and then it's going to load the cleanup mode right here inside the QuickBooks file, right? So it's like you working in the QuickBooks, you clicking here, you see the issues and you fix it, right? So the whole purpose is that you don't feel like using any other application. You don't have to remember to go to Xenett and get in there. There is no implementation at all required. It's more like a plug and play. Like once you have installed it, that's it. All you have to do, you just switch between the clients, and then accordingly this will show up. So let's say you are now gonna get into another client, the screen will accordingly show up. It will keep changing it. So right now you can see it here, and you can do everything here. You can kind of open the transaction, you can make some changes. In fact, you can also switch between QuickBooks menu items. You can also open your close modules, all of the Xenett modules right from this system itself, right? So this is gonna be the phase one that we are rolling out, where you will be able to access Xenett inside your QuickBooks file. But then our future goal is also to add more features with this extension, where even inside your QuickBooks file, we will be putting some flags. Like imagine you're reviewing profit and loss in your QuickBooks, and we will be showing some sort of flags right there. Okay. So that's the whole goal. If you wanted to look at this into full screen, you can also do it like this. So you can now enjoy Xenett in full screen. So GN, this feature is going to be available in a couple of weeks. We target 7th of June, but I mean, it might take 2 or 3 days here and there, right? So we are kind of right now we are testing it. Once it's tested completely, we are going to make it available to you guys. Okay. So that's a browser extension that we are coming up with. This is going to be the major one that we are right now working on it. Okay. This is a quick, I mean, obviously we do have a pretty long roadmap, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys with so many things right now. This is quite immediate. I mean, many of them are probably showing up next week. Many of the points are showing up somewhere in mid June, and so it's like most likely it's gonna be in within June itself that we will be rolling out all these features, right? So, any of you wanted to ask anything? I just looked at chat. There was just one questions uh, in there, but if any of you have any questions, feel free to let me see if I can make the mic available. Yeah, so you guys can also unmute yourself and ask any questions if you like. So the floor is open. So any feedback, any questions, anything that you would like to say, because most our roadmap items are being prioritized based on our customers' feedback. So feel free, guys, if there's anything that you want to address.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I like the feature where you can inactivate batch vendors.
Mhm.
Is there some kind of thing that we can inactivate accounts in batch? Like if there are accounts that we're not using?
Yeah, we already have it vendor, customers, and accounts.
Oh,
So
and
you can
oh,
see all of
perfect.
those accounts. Yeah. And then,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so
great.
we already have it. Yeah. And then along with this, we will be adding some more class, location, and items as well. So you can also do it for them.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone else wanted to bring up anything? Just as you guys know, we have been working with a lot of our customers to help them implement, to train their staff and everything. So feel free, guys, if at all you need us to train your people, we'll be happy to work with you and we'll be happy to even train them as well. So feel free to book our calendar and yeah, we can certainly help. All right. Anyone else wanted to ask anything or any comments, anything? We will just wait for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, we should just be all set for today's webinar. All right, guys, I think that is it. I believe you guys are all set. So, thank you very much, all of you, for joining today's webinar. I hope you guys found it very helpful, and we'll keep you guys posted about some of the new stuff that we are coming up with. All right, and we will also be sending an email to all of you guys with the recording. You can also share with your staff, colleagues, whoever, so that they can also look at it if they missed out. All right. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.